Hello guys, good morning. Welcome to episode number 35 of the RDO podcast. As always with the Auto Bros, Jason and Alex on Cal. How are you this morning, bro?
It's Easter Sunday.
Easter Sunday, yeah. Happy Easter to anyone who celebrates Easter, and happy Sunday to anyone who doesn't.
It's a bit miserable outside, a bit drizzly up here in Brisbane.
A little bit.
A lot of the coffee shops were closed, but we're thankful that there was a coffee shop that was open to supply us with that sweet nectar that we needed. And fast too.
Yeah, it was quick. It was really quick. Maybe, I don't know, businesses trying to get more efficient at getting people back out the door again at the moment, or...
Do you know what I was surprised? They had a 15% surcharge, but it didn't reflect in the price. It was $9 something for 2 coffees, not bad. 2 big ones. I know they're only blacks, but...
Yeah, that's not bad at all. That whole surcharge thing, does anyone realise that that's illegal? You're not actually allowed to do that?
I know.
So any of you business owners out there who charge a surcharge for public holidays, which is Easter Sunday even a public holiday?
So it is. Okay. It is, yeah. And you do pay, I think, because there is a Sunday load, isn't there? So you're paying, the staff are getting paid handsomely for it.
But you were supposed to incorporate those costs into your pricing throughout the whole year, rather than just jack up surcharges on certain days.
Yeah.
But then again, when you really think about it, I would probably prefer that the people who want to go out, it's like a toll road, right? Like the people who use the road pay for the road. That makes sense. So the people who just want to go out and use a business on a public holiday, maybe they should pay more because obviously the cost of the business is higher. It's like, I guess, getting internet at peak times or power at peak times or whatever.
I get that, but I don't like... It should just be one price. Then the reason why I feel that is the same with the Sunday load thing. I don't like the idea of having to pay staff more on a Sunday, and I don't like the idea of everyone having to pay more on Sunday because I used to work 6 days a week and Sunday was the only day that you had off. So not only do you have to work harder than everyone else, now you have to pay more. Yeah. And sure, you earn more, but you work for it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, someone smart enough to work 6 days and only get Mondays off gets a free kick.
Yeah.
So I don't like any outside modification of pricing. You know that. I would rather it just be the price that it is. It's clear. It doesn't move. I think if we wanted to do something for Sundays, introduce tipping in Australia for Sunday only. Because I think the quality of our worker here, the quality of our servers here, is not very good.
No, it's pretty terrible. I've actually got a story about that I was going to share this morning as well. But you're right. The tipping system works really well. Like when I went to the States, the United States of America, the service is fantastic everywhere you go. The service is really good.
What other states do you think someone would have thought you'd said Islamic State?
Yeah.
What other states?
I did just recently have a fairly shaggy, crap-looking beard, so maybe people would assume I'd go to Islamic State. I don't know. I just thought I should clarify for some reason.
Yes. Okay. So you went to the States.
And everywhere that you go, no matter how, I guess, expensive or cheap the meal is, the service is really, really good. And again, I think that you're right. In Australia, we think if you go out for an expensive, high-class dinner, you should get expensive, high-class service, and generally you do. But then we feel like if you're just going down to grab a coffee from the local cafe, that because you're only spending $9, that you only get $9 worth of service. And I don't think that should be the case. Like wherever you work, I mean, we've still got minimum wages in Australia, so they're probably all earning very similar money, especially if you're in the same award rate. So why should your service be any worse?
Yeah, it's relatively big money too for what you're getting. And the funniest one that I can think of was actually getting in not an argument, but I played golf, and there was a young girl behind that was doing the coffees, and I asked for a double espresso, and she's looking around the machine, and I said, "Oh, it's probably under short black on your till." Right. And she goes, "Oh, so it's a short black then?" I said, "Well, actually, it's called an espresso."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, we'll just use the English words." And I said, "Okay." what's cappuccino mean? I got in an argument with her. Like, she was trying to impose some, like, she was trying to muscle me, and she's wrong.
What's cafe?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You work in a what? Cave? Do you work in a cave? You serving cappuccinos? Like,
This young girl?
very young.
Is this just symptomatic of a generation that has spent their whole lives thinking they were right?
Oh, potentially.
I saw something interesting recently about how I think this sort of the generation that's like, you know, late teens, early 20s at the moment, I think they were the first ones who came through who got a trophy for everything.
Right.
Like, that's that generation now who's come through.
Yeah, I've not seen that, because I actually feel that there's more sentiment of their struggle.
There's more sentiment of their struggle.
Yeah.
Explain.
So, if people had to guess about what's going to happen, like if I ask my peers, right, what's going to happen with, are they millennials? No, they're younger than millennials, aren't they?
Don't know, Gen Z or millennials or
Gen Zs.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, they're doomed, like it, you know, they're and then I'm hearing from their side, like, we're never going to be able to buy a house, we're never going to be able to get some of the good jobs and rah. So I don't know if it's I will say this, that gifting everything is our generation's fault.
No, it's the one before us.
Or before us, yeah.
So I actually it was one of the most interesting training sessions I ever did when I was in cars, and it was a Honda training session where they did a full session on generational selling.
Right.
And they talked about the psychological differences between all the different generations and then how you're actually supposed to sell to them. So the first generation they spoke about was the baby boomers. Baby boomers are the golden generation of Australia. They're the wealthiest generation. They came up really post-war when there was lots of opportunity, right? So again, like they're very wealthy, and to sell to a baby boomer, they understand that there's like a sales process, and they actually expect you to follow it. And they also get offended too if you get to the end of the process. And you know how a lot of salespeople struggle to ask for the business?
Yeah, too scared, yeah.
Right, too scared to ask for it. They actually get offended if you don't ask for it. Because if you don't ask for the business, it's like saying to a baby boomer, I'm not asking you because I know you can't afford this, when they can. So that was one of the things about the baby boomers. Now, at the same time, the generation after them was Generation X. And Generation X were the kids of the generation before the baby boomers. So what happened with them, they had nothing because their parents had gone through like the Depression and, you know, gone through war. So that like resources were very, very scarce.
Can I just add something to that, resources scarce?
Yeah.
When I listened to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History and he was talking about it,
Yeah.
that's where shorts came out. Shorts were invented because there was not enough material available for the soldiers that they just said, okay, we can halve the amount by having shorts. And there were no, was it buttons or zips? One of them was no longer used because they needed to
Everything
use
needed
it
to
to
be sent to the war effort, So the problem with Gen X's kind of grew up very cynical because they had nothing. They were given nothing. They didn't benefit from the same things that the baby boomers benefited from. And so then they watched as the baby boomers gave us, the Gen Ys, a lot of stuff. Like we benefited a lot from having boomer parents who helped us out a lot. Now Gen X's didn't get a lot of that stuff. So there's a bit of resentment there.
Sure.
So when they came to selling to Gen X's, what they were saying was that Gen X is a fairly cynical generation, and most Gen X people, they're the ones who've already done the 200 hours worth of research online before they come in, and they want to walk into the dealership and they're going to ask you questions, not because they don't know the answer. They want to know if you want to know the answer and whether or not they can trust you. And also they're the sort of people that even if they, during your qualifying, you go, okay, the perfect car for you is a Honda CR-V, VTIS, four-wheel drive, blah, 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 blah. Even if you knew that was the right car, you still need to show them the whole range and explain to them the differences between all the different products. Because if you drag them straight towards one product, their brain goes, what's in it for you? Why are you trying to drag me to this car? Is there a big bonus on that car? Is it old stock?
It's funny you say that, because I had a friend that I was genuinely trying to help out. He was looking for a van, and I still think he went the wrong way. I basically had... Volkswagen had the perfect thing for him.
Right.
The new Crafter was bigger than anything else, drives better than anything else, and at that particular moment, it had a 1.9% finance. So it's the cheapest money you were ever going to buy.
Yeah.
We still had the full margin to use, so I could give him a great deal on it, as well as like a guaranteed buyback. And he was just starting a new business. It was the perfect thing. And I said to him, like, I said, why aren't you jumping at this? And he goes, I'm just trying to figure out how I'm getting screwed.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
That was his mindset.
Yeah.
But he's my age.
Yeah, okay.
Which I found, that was not shocking. That was weird to me. That people do think like that.
Yeah, and look, obviously, everything that I'm saying about these generations, these are all generalizations.
For sure.
Right? It's
fine to talk in generalisation.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to ask you this.
Yes.
So, as a Honda owner, how do you feel about about Honda going online only, and the service network not only being at the dealerships that are still
I
left?
think the entire thing is bullshit, to be honest. I got a lot of real problems with it. Namely, the fact that they're coming out trying to claim that it is a more customer-centric experience. It's not.
It seems the opposite.
It's the polar opposite. So what they've done, they've reduced their dealer network, which means that even their existing customers need to travel further to receive service. They've made them fixed price. Now, for any of you who are out there who are looking at buying a car or selling cars, generally if you're buying a new car or a used car at a motor dealership, you've got three things that you can negotiate on. The price of the new car, the price of your trade-in, and maybe the finance package that you're receiving. So all they've done is they've removed one of your chances to negotiate. And they're trying to say that, it's more customer-centric because customers don't like negotiating. Well, guess what? The negotiation doesn't go out the window. So because dealerships now can make less money out of the new car because they can't do anything on the price, so I'm assuming the deal network's going to get paid less for each deal because they'll basically just be getting a handover fee. Where do you think the negotiating is going to go now? To your trade. So now you're going to have to spend more money on the new car, but for the dealerships to remain profitable, they're going to have to pay you less money for your trade.
Yeah.
Like this is not customer centric at all.
Look, I think a good online. So my strategy that I've been talking about for probably the last 10 years was when. Actually, I think I came up with it when iPhone and iPad, they started talking about iPad, and I was so amazed with the technology, and I'm like, this is the future, right? And this is how it'll sound ridiculous now because everyone listening now has probably had 5 iPads. But when it first came out, it was pretty amazing, that technology. And then I had this feeling that when people talk about automation, they're like, salespeople will never get replaced. And I'm like, well, we can be replaced by this. Like, this iPad can give precise information faster than what a salesperson can. So I always had this this futuristic view in my head that would be the end of us. But my view of the online model, because I think that we shouldn't negotiate. I think it's stupid that we negotiate on cars and we don't negotiate on shoes or coffee or anything else. You don't go through the supermarket and scan all your items. They go $110 and you go, mate, I'm 60.
Yeah, I'm 60.
And people go, oh, that's just shopping. Well, you can get a $30,000 car for $100 a week and your grocery shop's about $100 a week. Guess what? At the end of 5 years, your car that you paid $100 a week for is worth something
than your
groceries.
Yeah.
So it seems silly to me that we only negotiate on that thing. So get rid of it. Right? I'm okay with getting rid of that. But the idea of going online is to streamline.
Well, they're not even really going online, are they?
Well, they are, yeah. They're going online fixed price.
But no, but I think there's going to be an option to buy online. But there's also they're still going to have dealerships and showrooms that you can go and touch and feel, and you can put your order in at the showroom.
The push is to go online,
right?
So there'll be better deals for online because Volkswagen is dabbling in it too. There was some cars that you could get cheaper online than you could in a dealership.
Yeah.
Just as a trial period. So it's supposed to be streamlined. So my idea for it is get rid of the showrooms full stop because you don't need these massive Taj Mahals you spend $5 million just to renovate one, when all you really need is a place to pick up your car.
Yeah.
So I think you'd have big holding yards out in the middle of nowhere, which are relatively cheap to rent. That's where a lot of your accessory fitments, pre-delivery inspections, details, and are all done out there.
Yeah.
And then you truck them to I had this idea of like delivery pods. So think of a normal sized dealership, but just like eight delivery pods. And the delivery pod is like a really nice lounge sort of scenario, big screen up in the back, and your car is in there. So someone will go and put your car in there, and you'd walk in, you'd get given a code on your phone to say your car is now available for pickup. Go to delivery bay B in Brisbane and pick it up. So click on maps. I don't know, Uber comes pick you up or whatever, or you take your trade in there. Nobody's there.
Yep.
You type your code in, opens the door. You walk in, you sit down in a lounge, and then on the big screen in front of you, like a virtual tour of your car.
Right.
So this is where these controls are. This is what you do, and da 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 da. And that does this beautiful experience for you in a really cool scenario. Then the big doors open. The keys are presented to you, and this nice little like a nice box opens up, and the keys are presented, and you jump in the car and you drive off. Then it closes, and then starts all over again. And then I thought, from the servicing point of view, well, everyone's pretty busy now, and it's always a shit fight taking your car in for service, especially those high, densely populated areas. Well, shouldn't there just be mobile people that go out and go to your workplace and service it at your workplace? Or concierge service, where they actually pick your car up. So you drive to work, someone comes, picks your car up, brings it to the dealership, drops it off before you pick it up. Like, that to me is streamlining and making the experience better.
Yeah, for sure. But let me ask you this. So a couple of questions about it. Number one, with the move to online, and obviously it's a cost-cutting measure, right? So is there the incentive for the manufacturers and for the businesses to even bother about trying to give a better experience on the pickup end when they've already got your money at that point? So generally the whole reason why we've got massive showrooms and free coffee and all these nice things, nice like waiting areas and whatever, is to convince people to do business with us in the first place. So if they've already gotten to the stage of picking their car up, we've basically already got your money anyway. So would that not be a cost that the manufacturers will probably look at cutting anyway?
No, but like you said, the generation that's coming through, they already know everything. So if you give them the power to transact the way that they want to transact, they should engage in that.
See, I didn't get to that generation, because what they spoke about with Gen Ys being the kids of baby boomers who were given a lot of things. We were the generation that we just wanted a salesperson to make friends with us and to basically guide us through, and we wanted to feel like we were being helped through the process, the same way our boomer parents probably helped us through a lot of things. The generation after us, which I think your millennials or your Gen Zs or whatever, I don't know if, are they separate?
Millennials, I think, is next, yeah.
That generation has not really come through making a lot of big decisions. So what they were saying, like I looked at some research on LinkedIn, this is a few months ago, but they're talking about, they always talk about which sectors are going to have job growth in the future and whatever. The sales sector, they're actually projecting to have more growth than most other sectors, purely based on the fact that the generation coming through has kind of had a lot of stuff sort of handed to them. So they're not used to making big decisions by themselves. So as much as we think they're going to have more information, therefore they can just buy a car online because they buy a lot of products online, I also think that buying a car is such a big deal, they still want someone to help guide them through the process, which is why salespeople they're projecting are going to have bigger roles even into the future.
Yeah, but have you noticed that are there more salespeople now in the car industry or less?
Yeah, but I think it's just a profitability thing. There are less. There's definitely less.
But profitability is going to lead.
Yeah.
Not research into what buyers want.
Well, exactly right. Which is why I'm saying that number one, I don't I can't see a manufacturer cutting all the cost at the front end when they're trying to sell the product and then spending that money on the delivery experience. I just can't see it. Just knowing what the motor trade's like, I can't see them trying to make that such a good experience.
But it's much less. It's a far cheaper, like purely from the real estate point of view. It's 1/100th of the price.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah.
But I just mean like profitability is obviously the issue, so therefore cutting costs is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
I can't see them investing the money at the pickup area as opposed to spending the money up front trying to sell the cars more.
I think that the way that the internet works and the way that review sites and things work, that is massively important. And people will want to know, am I going to get looked after? And look, counter to that, I know that when Tesla was trying to pump out a certain amount of Model 3s by the end of, I think, 2020 to help their earnings targets or something, and they put on a dock party, and you drove to the docks, and as they were pulling the cars off the ships, you would just get your keys and your car was down and blah, 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 and people loved it.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I think Tesla buyers they want something different, and I think that has shown that the experience can be different. Their model's very different as well. They don't have full-sized showrooms. They've got very small display areas. They don't have salespeople. They have some information people there, and it's more about the experience of the car or being part of that. Well, their experience of the car is more significant than most.
Does Tesla take trades?
I'm not sure.
Because that's the other element too that that sort of stands out. Because I know, like, obviously, used cars is, as the profitability gets pulled out of new cars, used cars is where a lot of dealerships are trying to centre their businesses around, or at least increase in their businesses. And that's the other element of if you do just go everything online, you just order it and then you just go and pick it up, then what do you do with your trade is obviously going to be the next thing. So that's probably another thing which is less convenient for the customer, because a lot of people, as much as they complain about what they're going to get paid for their trade-in, a lot of customers like just showing up at a dealership, throwing the keys over and then driving out of the new one.
Yeah, but there's easy ways to solve that. Like, so, for example, there are already, I think Pickles online auction already has they'll give you an instant quote. So you type in your details.
But you still need to go somewhere else. Whereas, like,
but integrate the two.
What's that, sorry?
Integrate the two. That's not hard. That's an easy thing to fix. So make that, like, just put that part on your website. Even if you wanted to partner up, or if a dealer group like AP Eagers is big enough to do it themselves, and when you're buying a new car, here's your details. Here's the price. Yep, happy with that. Drive it in, drop it off, put your keys in the chute, and leave.
Yeah.
It's definitely doable. You've just got to move away from your perception of how it currently is, and just try and reassess what the ultimate experience will look like. Because I don't think it looks like the way it looks now. I don't think that's the ultimate.
It's definitely, it has to change, right? Like, it's interesting. I was talking to Amanda about this during the week, and she has a teaching friend that she's a little bit older, who has a husband who used to work in the motor trade 25 years ago. Left when he started a family, funnily enough, because they didn't want to work the big hours and stuff like that. Has done other things in the meantime for a long period of time. And now that the kids are all in their early 20s and moved out of home, he's gone back to the motor industry. Because he perceived it was going to be the way it was 25 years ago.
Shocked. He'd be shocked.
He's disgusted.
Yeah.
He's disgusted with, like, the pressure, the way they treat people, as in staff, not even customers, like the way they are treated. He's like, I think he's looking at opting out again already. And it's just...
It's not for him.
Well, it's not, you know. And yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? Because, like, even when I came through, like, the first wave of the money had been ripped out of the industry, but I still made good money. So it gave me some opportunities, which maybe the next generation of kids coming through now might not get. You know, so something's got to change.
Yeah, and there's ways that you can automate. There's things that we did that were just total waste of time. You know, basically our own created red tape within our own organisations, which were massively cumbersome. So there's opportunities there. There's opportunities to provide a better experience for the customer, but there's wholesale change that needs to happen from a manufacturer's point of view, and people like Honda are trying. They're going to try.
Yeah, but even then too, like one of the other things that I'll criticise about this transition is, did you hear about all of the database stuff?
Yeah, that was a bit rude.
That was terrible. Like,
just paint a picture for the...
Yeah, so long story short, one of the biggest sources of income really for a dealership is their customer database. Because anytime you go in and do business with a dealership, they obviously have your data. They can use that for marketing. They want to bring you back in for servicing. They really want to have customers for life. What Honda have basically tried to do, because it ended up going through the ACCC, and I can't remember what the result has been.
I don't know. I think it's still being fought.
Right. But essentially, they just had an assumption that, number one, they could just come through and take the Honda franchise off a bunch of their existing dealerships. But number two, that they could just take the customer database with them as well. And they were basically arguing that money, that those databases are worth nothing.
Worth nothing, yeah.
And how often do we talk about, like, Google and Facebook stealing your data and how much money they make off your data?
Yeah.
Like, data is the most,
it's the
lucrative commodity that you can have these days.
Yeah.
And Honda's just tried to roll through going, oh yeah, like we just, we're taking your franchise and we're taking your data.
Their argument was because the original deal agreements, and some of them are 50 years old, don't have any provisions in there for data.
Yeah, but even dirtier still, did you hear about, so they had the existing deal agreements in place, then they were trying to get dealerships to sign transition agreements, and you had to sign the transition agreement before you could see what the new ongoing dealer agreement was going to be.
Wow.
And the transition agreement was basically, it had things in there like, we own your data, you can't sue us, is pretty much what these transition... Stuff. Yeah, exactly right. So it was like, we're going to make you sign this document for our protection first, and then we're going to tell you what the new deal is going to be. Like, it was really horribly done. What I would be really, really interested to see is when, because it's a case of when, not if, but when Toyota does this. Because out of any company that has done business in the manufacturer, any manufacturer that's done business in the car industry in Australia, Toyota generally does things right. They generally do a really good job of it. So I'd be very interested to see if they do it.
I think you'll find that their system is, like the DMS system that's used is not a proprietary one. It is a proprietary one. It's a Toyota system. So it's already integrated into their...
Yeah, because they had re-signed dealer agreements like 3 or 4 years ago, and they actually spoke to their dealers about data and stuff like that because they could see that that's the way that it was going. So they got on the front foot and was like, okay, this might be an issue down the track, so let's get our dealer partners together and let's talk about it and let's make the right decisions.
Interesting transition from... I want to talk about Toyota because they are the kings. Yeah. They are the Godzilla of the motor industry globally.
Yep.
The biggest, the baddest. They're doing most things right. And one of the things that...
They're probably the only company that's ever been heavily associated with terrorism, and it's done well out of it.
Yeah.
Because the Land Cruiser was like the ISIS car and the Hilux.
Yeah.
ISIS cars of choice because they're built so well they can handle those harsh environments.
Dude, I remember working at a Toyota dealership. There were certain parts that you couldn't get because they were all being taken up in the Middle East.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So we need to give them credit, and I'll say this. I was selling Toyotas in 2010. And everything was moving to diesel, and Toyota refused to. Yeah. And that's when Prius came out, and things, the original Prius was like 04 or something, like 02 or 04, but it never really sort of kicked off. But then they started selling some volumes in the later noughties, and they said, no, we're investing in hybrid tech because that's where we think the future is.
Yeah.
Where are we now?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was their 2030 plan. They're right now that we're moving to electric cars.
Yeah.
So we should be looking to them. Now, the boss of Toyota has told the Japanese government. The Japanese government wants to be completely EV, like every car's an electric vehicle. every new car sold is an electric vehicle by 2030 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the boss of Toyota's gone, nah, like it is not going to happen.
Yeah, you need to be realistic.
Yeah, and when people talk about infrastructure, I don't think people understand how much energy is consumed by transport. And I want to liken it like this. How many people have solar on their... Like, if you got solar?
Yep.
Okay, do you still get a power bill?
Yep.
Okay, so your solar panels don't even cover
No,
your
they
home
can't
consumption.
power my house. Yeah.
So how are you supposed to get the renewable energy for your road purpose?
That's right.
So
And the other thing too, like, just think of it as numbers. Now, I don't know exactly how many people drive every single day, but I do know that in Australia, they sell roughly 1 million new cars a year.
Yeah.
Roughly. Then you have used cars on top of that as well, private is exchanging hands. We have 25 million people in this country. I think it is probably safe to assume that at the very least, 8 million people drive. At least commute for work or whatever. The average kilometres that an Australian drives every year is 15,000 k's a year. So if you've got 8 million people doing 15,000 k's a year, and now you've got to convert that all from petrol and diesel and gas to electrical energy, like, we already have... I mean, we only just got saved by Elon Musk down in South Australia a few years ago with the battery technology, because that power grid was already going down.
Yeah.
You know, that is difficult, and especially when we are in this transition period where we're trying to get away from fossil fuels and get towards renewable energy sources. You know, how do you just overnight switch fuel and fossil fuels off and go to renewables for everything? Because I don't think we can even create enough renewables at the moment to just power what's already being powered.
Exactly. So the fact that the boss of Toyota has come out, and they're probably trillions of dollars invested into batteries and they're ready for it.
Yeah.
But for the boss of the biggest car company in the world come out and saying in their home country, we're not ready. Like, I take that. I'll take that on board.
Because you've got to think too, like, in Japan, you've got, 70 million people in a fairly small country. Like, if you're just trying to talk solar energy, like, have they got enough space to build a solar farm to power?
Yeah, no.
You just don't, right? So, and again, these are conversations that you need to have, because things do need to be pushed forwards, right? To actually get progress. You do need to have these. I remember I listened to Elon Musk on his last appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience, and he's like, if you want to solve the climate crisis, global carbon tax. Carbon tax. If you put in a carbon tax, the economy will sort the problems out.
Yep.
Because as soon as you disincentivize people to emit carbon, they'll stop doing it. As soon as there's money attached to it, they will find a way to either make more money or save money, right? And he said that he had approached the Biden administration when they first got voted in January to talk about this, and they basically said that's a too difficult political issue to get off the ground. So that's disappointing. But again, like, I remember when they were first talking about carbon tax over here in Australia, and at the beginning I was like a little bit anti it, because I was like, I don't want to pay more taxes, because a lot of these things, obviously, they always get passed on to the end user generally. But it actually makes a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, our world, at least the Western world, is run on an economy. So if you can incentivize the economy to make the right decisions, they'll generally make the right decision. If it's profitable to make a decision, that's the decision that they'll make. You know?
I think the argument against it is that if we do it and China doesn't, then they win.
That's right, which is why it's a global carbon tax.
Yeah. So that it is going to be... Look, do I think we should move to renewables? Absolutely. I think there is no doubt that it makes sense to me that we shouldn't just dig something up, burn it for energy. If we can...
Especially in a country like Australia. Like, we're probably the best set up country for running things on solar. We've got a small population, massive surface area, and we get a lot of sunlight.
Well, there's more than just solar. There's
a
few different... Or there's lots of different tech, and we need to move further in that tech. Because the thing that I worry about is solar panels have a certain life expectancy. And from some of the research that I've done, the panels don't necessarily create more than they than the energy used to break them down after that fact.
Mm-hmm.
So, can we get some advancements in solar panel tech? Elon Musk seems to think no, that there isn't, because so maybe we need to look away from solar into something else. We've got this massive ocean. Are we using current based things like that? Would seem like a half decent thing to look at. But the thing I worry about batteries. So in my experience, for example, I won't buy an 8-year-old hybrid car.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the batteries need doing. It costs you a fortune. We're talking like if you bought a Prius, if you want to do the battery packs in a Prius, retail's $7,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what do you do with those old batteries? Now, apparently there's some people refurbishing them, but the dead ones, the dead cells, they're dead.
Yeah.
They just end up in landfill. That to me doesn't seem like the right idea either. Where's we need some advancements in battery tech for sure. Now, in saying that, you're not going to get any of that tech without some incentive, financial incentive to get there. So it is tricky, but I don't think it's not smart to just say every car should be electric when A, we can't supply enough power to supply the electric, and B, we don't know what the world looks like when every 7 years we're throwing 1 million batteries into landfill.
And it'll be more than 1 million batteries too.
Yeah.
It'll be every year 1 million batteries get thrown.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
After 7 years, and then every year after that, it'll be 1 million batteries chucked into landfill. I don't think that's good either. As far as I can see, nuclear is the safest way to do it. The only problem is we don't know what to do. Two problems with nuclear. It costs it costs so much, and it takes so long to build compared to a natural gas refinery where investment gets a earlier reward.
Yeah.
And we still don't know what to do with toxic waste. Literally, all we do is put it in a hole, concrete over it, and wait 100 years.
Yeah.
And that's probably not the solution either.
I've been playing Fallout 4 a lot lately too, which is all about the world after a nuclear attack.
Yeah.
At least I'd be prepped for it when it goes.
Yeah. But in terms of output, how much plutonium is needed to generate a certain. I think it's something like 500 grams 500 grams of plutonium will run a city for a year.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas coal, we're talking gigatons. So, I feel like, does there need to be some more investment into, or smarter ideas on how to get?
Because then the other thing too is obviously I think people are very scared of nuclear as well. Like they've seen things like Chernobyl, they've seen Fukushima. You can even probably draw parallels between the current situation where I feel like it's human nature that the first thing to do when something goes horribly wrong is to try to cover it up. Which obviously that happened at Fukushima as well, right? And that situation was, look, obviously we would have learned a hell of a lot from that. So hopefully, if someone goes to build another nuclear reactor now, they go, okay, this is what happened last time. This is what we tried to do to fix it. It didn't work. This is what we're going to do this time. And, hopefully they pulled some data out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do think the problem with nuclear is it does have that connotation that it is dangerous. And then, it's hard to convince people to go, okay, we're going to put a nuclear reactor in your state.
Which is idiotic when the stats actually show that coal burning equates for 100x death rate compared to nuclear disaster.
Yeah.
But because you don't see, it's not a direct, like a direct correlation, that person got radiation, they got cancer and died, right? So that's a nuclear death.
Yeah.
But someone who has been slowly exposed to coal-fired whatever over years, those deaths are way more, but we don't see it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Or at least it's not reported on because it doesn't suit our government, who makes a lot of money internationally by selling gold. And again, this is the whole thing about you really need to leverage the economy to incentivize progress.
For sure.
Because at the moment we're incentivized to stick to the old system. So that's what.
Yeah.
If you fix that, all the smart people will figure out.
Well, I think that's
other ways
what
around
Mike Cannon-Brookes is trying to... So he's an Aussie entrepreneur. He started Starship, which is I think it's a superannuation fund that's only in like the tech space.
Yep.
And he's big on trying to get renewable. You need a few more of those. You need some people that with big pockets and I know people in my network. I was talking to some people that have studied for many years, literally just come out of uni after like 7 or 8 years or whatever, and they're just starting to earn money now. And I'm like, you got to get your money working for you from day one. Like there's one piece of advice is start investing now. And I gave them, I talked about that Vanguard thing that you're on, and they went and read through it, but they found one on Vanguard that was more about sustainability and stuff that made them feel good. Well, perfect. Like there needs to be more of those funds, and then if people are more aware of those things, and we know that the more money we make, the more we feel like we can give to help, right? We can direct it in the future. But you're right, it starts with the money. It's got.
And again, it's financial incentive to do the right thing. If you could get paid more money to invest in sustainable companies,
or even the same money,
people will generally do it.
Sure.
For sure. Getting back to the customer service angle. So, had a situation yesterday where Nate, so you know how Nate always steals the remotes? So Nate is just mashing the Foxtel remote. I'm not paying attention. He's mashing. Anyway, I look up at the TV just in time to see him go enter and order WWE WrestleMania today, which is a $30 pay-per-view, which I'm never going to watch.
We have to now, you paid for it.
Well, I went to cancel it. Now, precursor, when I originally signed up for Foxtel, we had signed up through Telstra as a bundle deal because I'm throwing in Foxtel for $30 a month, right? It was cheap. So I've gone using the Foxtel remote to where the pay-per-view is sitting in the rented section because I just went through to cancel it, because you would think you've ordered a pay-per-view that's on the next day, there will just be a button to cancel it. No such button. So I go on their website. They actually give you a rundown of how you're supposed to be able to do it. The button's supposed to be there, it's not there. So I've got to call. So then I call. And I get someone who's obviously working from home because I hear a dog barking in the background. Yeah. That's okay. Fine with
Could
that.
be bringing your dog to the office day.
Could be, yep. But I'm assuming it's not. So, but I'm perfectly fine with that. Anyway, she then proceeded to tell me that because my billing is through Telstra, that there was nothing that she could do about it.
Yeah.
And I said, but I ordered the product from your company. So if I order a product online and I pay through PayPal and I want to cancel the order, I don't call PayPal. I call the company that I ordered from.
You actually call PayPal. They have that function now.
Yeah, but you still got to cancel the actual order.
Yeah, but PayPal can facilitate all that.
Yeah, I don't think that's correct. At the end of the day, I ordered a pay-per-view through Foxtel. That's for 24 hours in the future. They should be able to cancel it. So then it just doesn't appear on my bill that they send to Telstra and then send to me to pay for it.
But from an accounting point of view, if they have not collected your money, yet Telstra has, and it hasn't been distributed at that point to Foxtel, then that's why they wouldn't do it.
But Telstra, so we pay on a monthly basis.
Sure.
So what would happen is the pay-per-view gets sent from Foxtel to Telstra, and they put it on our bill, which we pay at the end of the month.
Yeah, but Telstra collects the
collects money, exactly right. So in other words, they didn't charge me as soon as it was ordered. So Foxtel should be able to cancel the pay-per-view and not send that bill to Telstra to then bill me for.
Yeah, I totally, from a functionality point of view, you should be able to go either channel. You should be able to go to Telstra or whatever. You should be able to easily cancel. Well, you shouldn't have to make a phone call for a start.
For a start, yeah. It should just literally be the button on the Foxtel remote going cancel this pay-per-view.
Yeah. But I dare say that a lot of those things are by design, or playing devil's advocate, they haven't got the processes down. The experience sucks because no one's thought of that because it doesn't.
I'm sure it happens all the time.
Yeah, but it
'Cause
doesn't
you're
make
not
them any money to solve that problem.
Oh yeah, but I guarantee you if I called Telstra, they'd be like, you need to call Foxtel.
Yeah.
Because they'd be like, you're an idiot. You ordered it from Foxtel. You didn't call Telstra and order a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just a shit system. So what I'm actually going to do is, I've said to Amanda, I got the shits, so I'm going to cancel all of it, and I'm going to start again. And I'm going to, if I want to sign up for Foxtel again, I'm going to go directly to Foxtel, and I'm going to negotiate with Foxtel. So it's just between me and Foxtel.
So you're cancelling Foxtel?
I will probably cancel it and then call them up and try and negotiate a new deal, but direct with Foxtel.
Because you only do the sports on it, don't you?
Yeah, look, we occasionally we get some of the entertainment channels too, so we occasionally will watch stuff on that. But I mean, I've even found I'm even considering cancelling standard Netflix at the moment as well, because obviously 2020 was crap as far as trying to create new content. So I keep going on there and I scroll through and it's all the same shit. And they're like, what's trending now on Netflix? And it's like a show that came out 10 years ago because they're like, fuck, we need content. So they've just commissioned an old show to throw it out there.
We watched a funny one. So Tasha's choice to choose the movie. And it was ranked 6th on Netflix. Can't even remember what it's called. But basically the scene opens up, girls swimming, carnival. She came second. Flashes back to when Dad's pressuring her. Obviously, Dad's not in her life anymore. Mm-hmm. Sister rings. There's a big storm coming through. I think it's in Florida.
Did Dad leave because she's a loser?
Well, Dad's ostracized himself from the family. Obviously, right. Big storm coming through. The sister's been trying to call Dad. Can't raise Dad. Sister calls the main character. Right. Hey, have you heard from Dad? No, I haven't. I'll drive down to the other house and see if he's there. Oh no, the storm's too bad. Don't go and see him. It's too dangerous. No, it'll be easy. I'll just go down there. So she's driving down in this.
Is Kevin Costner in this?
No, but it is definitely a Kevin Costner movie. Driving down, and then I see on the side, and I knew from this moment because I touched into anything about it, right? But I knew when I saw the alligator inhabitant sign on the side. I'm like, I know what's happening. Gets to the house. Basically the whole town's evacuated because there's a massive storm coming. Can't find Dad in the house anywhere.
Please tell me this movie is called See You Later.
No. No. Goes down underneath the crawl space underneath the house, and she's crawling through there and finds Dad.
That's where I'd check for Dad, in the crawl space under the house.
Finds Dad. Passed out, broken leg. So
what was he doing down there?
He's trying to fix something. So then trying to pull him back out to safety.
Right.
Massive alligator, and then the water's rising, and then it's just a horror movie about alligators, right? Just ripping people apart.
Wow. And Tasha picked this. Did she watch the preview?
No. She just saw it.
So this was number 6 on Netflix.
Yeah. So I said, was it number 6? Movies that came out today.
Yeah.
It was just the 6th movie that was released today. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was unlike we don't watch that kind of stuff. Yeah. Tasha kept calling them crocodiles, which is really aggravating me because they're not crocodiles, they're alligators. Yeah. And it was a horrible. Oh no, but okay. But where the swimming thing comes in, you would appreciate this more than most. You know how you try and tie two things together? So obviously there was a family dynamic. The Dad had ostracized himself.
Why did he ostracize himself? Did they explain that?
Pressured too much and was too focused on her swimming and the amazing things that she could achieve. So, for example...
So she saves the day by swimming him out of trouble?
And he's yelling, swim! Swim! She swam away from an alligator. So it was...
The funniest thing is, in the real world, the majority of alligators bail when they see human beings. Because they're nowhere near as aggressive.
So that's another thing that really annoyed me is Tasha kept saying, I don't think that would happen. She goes, I don't think... Yeah, really? She goes, I don't think these alligators would just be sitting there waiting for this thing. I'm like, oh, well, I thought if you're hungry, they'll wait. They'll prey and and then she's like, I just don't find it very realistic. I'm like, I don't think it's a documentary.
Yeah. Dad, if you ever go missing, I'm not looking in the crawl space of the house for you. I'll probably go to the pub.
There's no reason to be down there.
Yeah, no.
There's no reason to be down there.
No.
But I have watched Godzilla vs. Kong.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All those movies are the best. Because you know exactly what you're going to get, and you don't expect anything else.
Well, what I liked about this, and spoiler alert, but if you've made it this deep in, which our stats show that not many people do, they explore the Hollow Earth theory.
Right.
Now, for those who, like, we've been exposed to this theory in the past, where basically the globe is as we know it. It's round, obviously.
It's like an onion.
And then, well, no, it's not like an onion. It at the poles, the gradient increases so rapidly or decreases so rapidly that it turns in on itself, and the core of our Earth is basically like another sun, but inside our planet.
Right.
There's talk about that's where the Israelites went when they were rushed out of Egypt, is that they just kept going north, and then went inside the Earth.
Right.
Okay, so that's, I think... Now...
This doesn't seem realistic either.
This was more realistic than the alligator movie.
Yeah.
I think it was called Chomped or something. No, it wasn't called Chomped. but the way it was filmed was brilliant. Like, they really gave you a sense of size that some of the other Godzilla movies didn't do.
Right.
I think some of it was filmed on the Gold Coast. Like, Tasha recognised Miami School, the school that she used to work at. There was a scene there, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I remember them talking about filming something."
They did a lot of filming over here last year because it was one of the only places that you could.
Yeah, well, a lot of the beaches, and I swear there's tambourine. Some of the foliage is very tambo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so great movie. Anyone go and see that. That is great. That is it was such a good, feel good movie. But I love Godzilla, and the one that I like the least is when Americans first touched it.
Right.
The 1998 one with
Yeah, who was in that?
Bueller. What's that character?
Oh, what's his name? This is going back a bit. I know who you're talking about. I can't.
Why that movie sucked is that it goes against... So, Godzilla is the king of the monsters, and Godzilla only attacks things that he thinks are a threat to the world. He's the balance of the world. Except in that movie where he just wanted to kill people.
Yeah, but America probably was a threat to the world.
Yeah, true.
So Godzilla was just trying to do his job.
Yeah, I had not looked at the deeper meaning about that. Yeah, there you go. But it was so well done. I highly recommend watching.
What's because I watched the last Godzilla movie that came out. That was pretty good too.
Well, this is after that one, so they're tied together.
Oh right, okay, cool.
Only tied by the characters.
Right.
Like, you don't need to watch the previous one.
No, and again, that's probably one of the good things about all the giant monster movies is that you can figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
You know, like there isn't like a very nuanced plot that you're probably missing.
I did watch. Oh, and I started the Harry Potter franchise last night, so I've resisted.
So you haven't seen them before?
Never.
I hated the first few movies because, in my opinion, they're kids' movies. But as they went on, I actually really started to enjoy them. So further and further through the series you get, the better they get.
Well, I'll tell you what I was impressed with the first one, is they put so much focus on building the world.
Yeah.
And that's what I really appreciate. Because I hate movies where they explain it inside the movie. Oh, this is why this happened because of da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, it's just lazy.
Yeah, whereas they did it so well. Now, the comment I will make about the first, so that's Philosopher's Stone is the first.
Okay.
The amount of domestic violence that's in that.
Heaps.
Like, that's not cool.
No.
You know, and I said to Tasha, I said, does he get payback on the family that looked after him, that treated him like dog shit? And she's like, sort of. So, you know, that's the first thing I would do.
In fairness though, like, they still looked after him, so to speak. They could have just left him on the street if they wanted to.
Oh, that was the one hole in the movie that I found in terms of Harry's character.
Right.
So he was obviously beat down his whole life up to that point.
Yeah.
And I found it weird when Malfoy, is he the blonde?
Yeah.
The blonde kid. how when he actually tried to extend a hand to him at the very start,
Right.
and Harry's like, "Nah, fuck you."
Yeah.
Where did he get that spine all of a sudden? That's what. There was no link to him being
Yeah.
downtrodden. There was no setup to how he was now like, "Nah, bruh, like I got this." That was the only sort of hole in it. But apart from that, I was impressed with the way it was filmed. You know, there was no wasted sort of. Everything meant something.
They're very well done. And look, it's. I guess that's what happens when you have good writing to work with, but also when you actually respect that writing as well. Like that, it's a very. There's been many books that have been made into movies, and you had everyone goes, "Oh, the book was way better." Now, I've not read the Harry Potter books.
Yep.
I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
But Amanda's read them all. Like, her and her friends were mad Harry Potter fans
Yeah,
when
same
they first
stuff.
came out. Yeah. And she largely said that the books were better. But I think it's just because you've got an idea of who the characters are in your own head, and then when you watch them on film, they're not the same. So you don't feel like you associate with it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought there's some like very, very creative, very good writing, enough twists and turns in it to keep you interested.
Yeah.
Like it's a good series.
On that writing thing, I was talking to a friend the other day that we were talking about the Snyder Cut of Justice League.
Right.
And he nailed it for me. Zack Snyder can't write movies.
Right.
If he's got a pre-existing story, like 300, because I love 300, that movie is great.
Yeah.
So if you give him a story, he can make a great movie. If you ask him to make the movie and write the story, they suck. And they suck.
So he's like Michael Bay sort of thing.
Well, no, Michael Bay sucks.
Period.
I don't know if there's any Michael Bay movies that I like. So even the Transformers movies when I was a lot younger, and I would have been more into that. I always just thought like you're just trying to overstimulate.
That's right. They could have been done so much better.
Yeah.
Like, but again, that was a really good example of where less is more.
Yeah.
Like you're exactly right. Like all the effects and stuff that they used, it was,
they're showing off, peacocking.
Yeah, in a way, it just becomes too much. It's the same way as I hated how there was like a run of films, and I think it was around like when the Bourne Identity first came out, where all the fight scenes and action scenes were just constant camera cuts. I hate it. Constant camera. I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just like 5 straight years where every action scene was exactly the same.
Yeah.
And then obviously you got the John Wick films where you see like pretty much everything playing out real time. Yes, they cut, and movies are going to have cuts, but it's not like the Bourne movies was like a punch gets thrown and it cuts to 3 different angles on the same punch.
And you never see that. You never see
the connection or anything like that. So then obviously I think we're now looking for a bit more realism, and I think that with Transformers, there was already a Transformers cartoon series. Like we've already seen it as fake as it can be.
Sure.
I think people kind of wanted it to maybe be a little bit more like a Godzilla movie where you bring in a bit more realism to it.
Yeah.
And I definitely think they missed an opportunity there.
Yeah. So he did nail it though. So if there's like Zack Snyder's made this, I ain't watching it. I ain't watching it.
Well, I was talking to the sister-in-law yesterday and about that, 'cause she was really keen to watch it. And so apparently the reason why Zack Snyder left was because his daughter got sick.
Committed suicide.
Right, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear
it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's why he actually missed out on finishing the way that he wanted to finish it. And then whoever came through and...
Joss Whedon, who is the Avengers guy, who you'd think is just going to brain it.
Yeah,
but
right.
The problem is Zack's view of Justice League is not the make jokes.
It's very
keep it
dark.
Yeah. And he had this construct, it just didn't work. Whereas my mate's suggestion, which I think was perfect, he's like, get an up-and-comer. Get... like a Taika Waititi to do what he did with the Thor franchise. Brained it, right?
Yeah.
But I think the biggest problem, and I'll watch this in a review, is DC needs to decide whether they make standalone movies with those heroes or they create a DC cinematic universe.
Right.
So with Justice League, they try to create a cinematic universe. But then... they don't tie together properly because they haven't done time. They haven't set up the characters.
For sure.
Like the first Justice League had Aquaman in it, but the Aquaman movie hadn't come out, so we didn't know who he was.
That's right. And again, that's like you break that fourth wall where if they then bring out standalone movies and there's a crisis on Earth, it's like, why don't you just call your supermates?
Yeah.
You know, why are you doing all this stuff on your
Yeah.
own? You got supermate, like you can literally text 5 people right now who can help you with this.
Well, the great one. So I don't know if you've seen Wonder Woman 1984.
No, I haven't seen that one.
So she flies and she learns to fly.
Right.
But the Justice League movies come out after that and she doesn't fly in them. So you're either going to have the universe or have standalone. And either way is fine, but you can't have both.
Well, you can have both, but you got to do it the right way, like the way Marvel did it, where they had the standalone movies to set up all the characters, and then they brought them in as this big crescendo.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's them having a universe.
Yeah, right.
You can have, what I'm saying is you can't have independent storylines. Sorry, you can't have, independent of the universe storylines.
Yeah.
So Joker, for example, is a DC character, standalone movie that does not fit into the universe.
Right, I understand.
Amazing film.
Yeah.
$50 million to make, grossed $1 billion. Right, so they'll want more of that.
Oh, yeah.
I
still haven't seen that.
You got to watch it.
Yeah, okay.
Dark Knight,
Yep.
3 movies, doesn't fit with the current DC universe. Best films. We're okay with those.
Yeah.
If you're going to create a universe, do what Marvel did and make everything fit, and it has to fit perfectly. And to I think it's Kevin Feige's, because he's a massive comic book nerd. Every aspect of it just meshes together perfectly. But don't try to recreate that. Let them have that if you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But have a just create standalone beautiful movies.
Yeah. And I do think that DC does need to lean into the darker, grittier style, because if you try to get, because really the DC characters are darker, they are grittier characters than the Marvel characters, and Marvel's already doing the action comedy thing, right? It's done. That's sewn up by those guys, and those characters.
Nailed it.
You can't emulate that. So, Batman, very dark, gritty character. Like Superman, very vanilla character. Like you're not going to get Superman, and they're not going to be able to do like what they did with Thor, where they turned him into a bit of a jokester.
Yeah.
Right? Because Superman's supposed to be perfect.
Yeah.
Whereas Thor comes from Norse mythology, where they're all flawed gods, right? So, Superman, they just got to double down and like you're the vanilla god guy. Yeah. Like you're what perfect is supposed to be. There's a part at the end of that movie. I'm not going to get into it because I just remember it being so ridiculous in one of the last fight scenes. But I'll rewatch
Martha. That's the most ridiculous
thing ever. Yeah. Was that our mums have the same name?
And they realised that when Batman had his foot on... No, when Superman had his foot on Batman's throat. Why did you say that name? Like... What the fuck were you thinking?
Like, in a real fight, people make your mum jokes all the time.
Yeah, but just your mum, not her name.
Yeah.
And then you don't question it. Oh, bro, like your mum's name too. Oh, that's crazy.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, that is what
it was so shit.
Like, but I just don't understand how many levels of... Like, how many people saw that and thought that was okay.
Yeah.
So there you go, there's a tip. Speak up. You could be if you're supplying coffees, but you saw that part of the script, say, mate,
this
sucks.
Like, are you guys serious?
Yeah.
Like, this is the angle you're going with in like the most important part of the movie. It's dog shit. It's so bad.
Martha. Our mums have the same name.
But there was also again, I'm.
Which movie are you talking about?
Was it the Justice League movie?
The first Justice League movie.
I can't even remember, but there was something about when Batman and Superman were fighting each other, and something just...
Batman vs Superman.
Batman vs Superman, yeah. I can't remember it.
Because I thought they actually did that part pretty well. He was pretty well equipped. Because everyone just goes, Batman gonna get stomped.
Yeah.
But he had all the kryptonite gear, kryptonite spray.
Yeah, but come on, man.
No, that would work. Kryptonite, knuckle
Yeah,
dusters.
so, do you know what Superman should have done?
What?
Stood over there and laser beam eyeballed him. Like, done. You're done, mate. Oh, Batman's running towards me? Meow. Like, I'll just move out of the way. You're dead. Like...
It does not make for a good movie.
No, it's not. And it's just such a... I think it's such a silly concept too, because look, obviously, it's that sort of David versus Goliath element.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know.
But like
It's
the
just,
Dark, like have you seen the Dark Knight trilogy? Like when was the last time you watched the Dark?
not for a while, but they were fantastic movies.
Oh,
like
that's one of my favourite. Like it has got to be up there with all time. The best put together. And look, Christian Bale doesn't do anything bad.
No, I still don't like the Batman voice thing.
Where is he?
Yeah, I hate that. Like, is it because he's supposed to be concealing his identity? Is that why he does it?
Yeah,
It's so dumb.
but it all maybe the top of the mask is constricting his nasal passages a bit.
Yeah.
He's like, where is it?
Yeah, like it could be something like that.
But that's why I love the memes when it first came out, and it had Christian Bale in his suit as Bruce Wayne with a tan
the
face.
tan line,
I love meme culture.
Yeah.
But and I liked Ben Affleck as Batman. He copped a lot of
he copped criticism for the roid rage that he was expressing in the making.
I need to come back to the single dumbest thing about the original Justice League movie.
Yeah.
Was the fact that Henry Cavill had to have a moustache for the Mission Impossible movie that he did with Tom Cruise. It was written in his contract. Tom Cruise would not allow him to shave his moustache to film as Superman. But the opening scene of Justice League is a close-up shot with CGI thing that looks shit. You know that he's got a moustache. You know that you're going to have to CGI it.
Yeah.
Don't make a close-up thing of it. And they did it all the time.
God.
He did a close-up smile.
Yeah.
And it looks like you know that. That's, to me, I would know to do that.
Yeah.
We've set the camera up in here. I made sure that, like, if I've got pimples on the left side of my face, I might sit on this side.
Yeah.
If I've got on the right side of the face, I might sit on that. I'll think about that stuff. The fact that they let that
No, but
production...
is that just an example of, like, director comes through going, okay, like, we're thinking of going in this direction. Look, CGI guy, like, can you handle that? And he's like, yeah. And then, like, they film it all, and the CGI guy's like, I'll just work on this. Like, I'll have it ready by the end of production. Then they film the rest of the movie.
And you guarantee it's going to be good, right?
Yeah. And then, obviously...
The deepfake guys, after the movie came out, the deepfake guys did it on Instagram better than what... But that was just insane to me. And in the Snyder Cut, they don't have that scene.
Right. And, look, that's smart. But the thing is, too, that, like... This is the problem with those movies, and it juxtaposes well with the Harry Potter movies. This is what happens when you have no real respect for the characters and for the history of those franchises.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, all right, I'm Hollywood director X. I'm going to come through. I've got my story already written for me by someone else because there's already the universe there. How can I make money? Okay, and I'm just going to phone it in. Like the Marvel movies, they had respect for the universe.
Every element of the universe.
Yeah. And then Stan Lee died, and then they made Captain America gay. And they did it dirty.
Well, this is... So, I'm all for the... make them all gay.
Yeah.
As an experiment. But also, to make him look like a twink was not cool.
Well,
because Chris Evans looked gay in that. Like, the Captain America looks more gay than he does straight.
He wears like a skin-tight body
and he's
suit.
jacked, he's looked after himself, his hair's perfect.
Like, I don't know.
He's gay.
I don't know if any of you Hollywood types have been looking at, like, the regular population lately, but all the jacked guys are gay.
Exactly.
Like, all the straight guys are fat, like us.
Yeah, so that I found that... I want to know what the gay community thinks about that, because I'm offended by it.
Yeah, Luke, what is your opinion on that? Like, let us know, because he's big movie buff. So I don't, like you said, if you want to make him gay, that's totally fine. But to make him
stereotypically gay,
that's not cool. And again, like the whole angle they went with Captain America in the Marvel series was him trying to get back to his missus.
Now it could be a mister, but I see Captain America as a power top.
But it wasn't. And this is where you have to have respect for the source movies. Like you're saying, this is breaking through that fourth wall, and it's actually removing those universes from each other.
But you can have multiple universes. We know that now. So there could be a world, like, there are multiple universes. True. So definitely, look, there could be a twink one.
Could be.
But also, Chris Evans could be the gay one.
Yeah.
Easily.
Why couldn't he have been?
He looks gay.
Bring back Jake Gyllenhaal to play his boyfriend, like Brokeback Mountain, because you
But
can't
also
get Heath
he's-
Ledger.
Oh, can CGI it.
Yeah, you could deep fake it. It's a real deep fake.
Yeah, that's rough.
But that's the thing, you have to have respect for your source material. And I just feel like whenever you see movies that, like, it's not like they're short on budgets, right, for these
No.
movies. Like, they've got massive amounts of backing, financial backing. And when they come out with something that's that substandard, you just go, you didn't have respect for the source material. You phoned it in.
Well, I think you've nailed something that I've been saying ever since the Saw movies. Money ruins it. Money, so you can, and Marvel's been the one that's probably used it for good, not the money for good. But I find, especially in TV, that success and money ruins good writing. And if you have good writing, everything else come together. If you've got a well-written show, like Tasha's watching this Mexican show that's really well-written, we don't know any of the people in it, but because it's so well-written, you appreciate it.
Yeah.
And writing's free, quotation free.
Yeah.
But and I think that's what Michael Bay does, just goes, money, dollar bills, let's just fill it with all the CGI.
Yeah, just explosion here. Explosion here.
That is worse than no amount of good writing can fix that. But if people are leveraging the effects over, and Saw's the first Saw movie
was amazing.
$50,000 I think they spent on that movie.
Yeah, didn't they? Wasn't it a couple of guys who went in like a competition I think you had to write a script, and if you won the competition, they would give you a small grant to help you film.
Maybe, yeah.
I think they were two, like, because one was
Aussies,
Australian. Yeah. And I think they were in uni, and it was like a film competition or something like that they had won. And it was such a and again, because you can tell they didn't have the budget, so they were like, let's think about this. How can we make this work with what we've got?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think with some of these other movies, you're seeing the polar opposite. You're just like, oh, I can just use money to cover over these, like, forget storytelling. Like, let's just put a big action scene in this section, and everyone will forget about it. Like,
Saw 1's best role for Tim Robbins since
Robin
Hood Men in Tights.
That's again, good writing.
Great writing.
Great writing.
No effects.
No effects. Look, and that's an example of where, like, he didn't completely stay true to the original source material of the Robin Hood story, but he did to an extent. So he took all those characters, made them very similar to the characters, but completely changed his not even completely changed, but changed enough to make it his own, like Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Like, that was amazing.
But Zack Snyder would try and integrate that with Russell Crowe's Robin Hood. He'll try and put those two worlds together, and they just don't fit. They're in different universes.
Yeah.
Try and put them together, and that's the problem.
Because you even look at other iconic series like the Lord of the Rings movies. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
Because again, good writing first. So you start with good writing, then you stay true to the writing.
Yeah.
And they were amazing movies. But yeah, I don't know. Like,
you need to watch Joker.
Yeah.
You need to. It's dark.
Yep.
It's as dark as a movie gets, I reckon.
Yeah. Okay.
So be in the headspace for it, but it is brilliant. It is
nice.
a brilliant movie.
Yeah, sweet.
So
Let's check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful. All right, guys. That'll do us for this week. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next RDO.
Bye.